The Supreme Court sounded like they're leaning toward knocking down a conversion therapy ban in Colorado. Can't say for sure, obviously, until we know the decision, but that is the tea leaf reading from oral arguments today in a case brought by a Christian therapist. She offers what she calls voluntary, faith-based therapy for kids and argues this Colorado ban violates her right to free speech. Now, the state says therapy by licensed professionals, that's not free speech, and that it is simply trying to stop a practice that has been scientifically discredited, and that in some cases can cause real mental harm for young people, according to experts. Thing is, the court doesn't sound entirely convinced that states can make that decision, but also allow counseling that affirms children who identify as gay or transgender. Listen.
If a doctor says, I know you identify as gay, and I'm going to help you accept that, and another doctor says, I know you identify as gay, and I'm going to help you to change that, and one of those is permissible and the other is not, that seems like viewpoint discrimination in the way we would normally understand viewpoint discrimination.
So that really boils it down there, at least the thinking of Justice Kagan. Whatever the court does ultimately decide here, it could decide the fate of laws in a bunch of other states. You see them here in dark blue, light blue, where the conversion therapy is banned or partially banned. Our Supreme Court expert and reporter Lawrence Hurley is joining us now. Based on the questioning that justices asked today in oral arguments, you can kind of get a sense that they sound skeptical of this ban, right?
Yeah, I mean, to them, it seems they see this as straight up a free speech issue, right? This free speech of this therapist to say what she wants to say. The state was trying to defend the law as conduct, the type of stuff that the state can normally regulate in the healthcare context, like treatments and things like that. But the majority of the court doesn't seem to be going in that direction. And from the oral argument, when you've sat through a lot of these, like I have, the fact that the state's lawyer was kind of backtracking from their own argument and saying, maybe the law, can cover some of the stuff that this therapist wants to do. And we can hear her talk about this right now.
If the therapist told him or he asked, can you help me become straight? The answer would be it would be banned. If it was, can you help me cope with my feelings as to how I am and how I want to live my life, that's permitted.
So here we can really see that she's saying maybe it would be okay for the therapist to say certain things.
Right.
But not this sort of straight up like trying to convert people to an identity that they don't have.
But what's interesting here is while they seem skeptical of this ban, the court just a few months ago upheld a ban in Tennessee. So how are we supposed to understand the thinking around this kind of thing? Well,
so again, this is a case about speech, right? So in that earlier case about the ban on gender-affirming care in Tennessee, Tennessee was regulating conduct, right? It's regulating the ability to give hormones or puberty blockers to teens. Whereas this case is only about speech. And as Justice Kagan said very clearly, she wants to make sure that if states can ban or aren't allowed to ban this type of stuff, they also aren't allowed to ban other types of therapy, such as ones that allow for gender-affirming care. So just to be clear then, I'm going to ask our team if we can pull up that map we showed with the light blue and the dark blue, because what sounds like what you're saying is this case could have a ripple effect in some of those other states, but it could also be very case by case depending on how the law is interpreted in those states, right? Well, basically, if they strike down the law in Colorado, then any other law, there's almost, more than 20 states have these laws, they're pretty much going to get struck down if they are similar to Colorado's law. But as we just discussed, the states also wouldn't be able to stop therapists who are doing gender-affirming therapy. Interesting. Lawrence Hurley, much to watch. Obviously, we should say no decision until probably June, later in the term-ish. That's right. Cool. Thank you.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.